Hey y'all, welcome back. My name's Katie. This is Dark Side of the Truth, and if you're new here, we're now friends.
Did we just become best friends? Yup!
In this video, we're going to discuss a topic that we have already once discussed here on this channel, but I only spent like a total of 4 minutes talking on it throughout like 2 videos. They were like 2-minute videos a piece. Back when my channel very first started, like 2 years ago, when I was still originally making like TikTok format and style videos. They're very like short and sweet and to the point. So I wanted to go a little bit deeper and explain this theory in particular a little more because it's so interesting to me. So today we are going to discuss the moon map theory. And if you don't know what the hell I'm talking about, don't worry because you already know I will explain it. But before we go any further, do me a favor and smash the hell out of the like button. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, come on over and get subscribed to the channel. And make sure you hit that little bell icon. So hopefully, fingers crossed, you'll get notified whenever I upload new videos just like this. But with that being said, I don't think I need to ramble about anything else. And I don't really think that this topic needs that much of a disclaimer. Other than the fact that it's not real and we're discussing internet theories, YouTube. Hopefully that's good enough. Let's get into it. Roll the intro.
They live, we sleep, the alarms going off, beep beep. Time to wake up to the deceit. Our whole reality's made up by the elite.
You ever look up at the night sky, specifically at the moon, and think to yourself, what a big, beautiful rock that we have floating in our sky? Well, not so fast, buddy.
You're never going to see the moon the same after this. It's a map.
There's a theory out there that we've, of course, briefly discussed before that claims that the moon isn't just a rock at all. In fact, some people claim it instead could be a distorted map of the Earth, at least in part. Hell, some people even claim that it may be the only real map of like the Earth that we live on, including the lands that we're not supposed to know about. And when you hear the name Sturges, you'll know why. At least those of you who saw my original video about the moon map will recognize the name Sturgis. Real quick, before we get too far into this theory, I'm going to show clips, per usual, that'll help explain like what I'm talking about. However, in these clips, you are going to hear people online refer to Sturgis as Sturgio. And that's just like the internet doing what it does. One person mispronounced it, others repeated it, and suddenly the algorithm decided that that was his name. But correctly pronounced, it's Sturgis. He's the original guy and like the one behind the moon map. But I just wanted to let you know that Sturgio or Sturgis, whatever you hear, or like, you know, however you hear his name pronounced in this video or in the clips that I show throughout this video, it's all the same person. He's the guy who first started mapping Earth onto the moon's surface. He took high-resolution lunar photos and began overlaying Earth's continents onto them. But here's the kicker and like really important part. He warped the map heavily. He mirrored it, rotated it, stretched the edges, compressed the center, and even selectively warped certain regions, like the Luno-Tycho crater, the lunar mare crescent, and the Oceanus Procellarum, until they lined up with the continents and oceans here on Earth. The main idea behind this claim is that the moon is a curved reflective surface, or essentially a mirror of Earth. And all of the stretching or like warping that we see and that we know that Sturgis did is just how the reflection naturally appears. Sturgis believed that what looks distorted is actually proof of the map's authenticity.
Okay, so the moon is shaped slightly like a concave lens, sort of like those mirrors that you see on semi-trucks or on the corner of sharp bending turns. So from a flat Earth perspective, the concave shape affects the appearance of certain lunar craters and their respective orientations. Okay, so we are looking at a mirrored view of the moon's surface, which is used as a reference for mapping the Earth's features. Upon examining the moon as an X-ray reflection of Earth, we discern the continents rendered in transparent hues, blue during the daylight hours and black during the nighttime, while the seas and the water appear in white. The lunar craters that we see are analogous to crater-like formations created by the topographical relief in the ocean depths or even within the terrestrial regions. These formations that we see are believed to have arisen through thermal processes triggered by specific chemical reactions. These formations emerged through the interplay of the Earth's elemental composition within the element of water, followed by oxidative chemical reactions that resulted in the release of heat energy. And this phenomena is the result of the reaction of lime mixing with water, which results in an effervescent state and the development of crater-like patterns on its surface when water interacts with it. So this analogy is employed to explain how lunar craters and lunar features sometimes appear distorted or angled when viewed from different perspectives. So within the flat Earth framework, the central craters on the moon appear perpendicular to their imprinted positions, presenting minimal distortion. Whereas conversely, the features located near the outside circumference of the moon appear more distorted. And this distortion is suggested to increase as these features approach the edge of the moon's circle. And the moon is always fluctuating and is always wobbling. We never see the same face of the moon if you've been paying attention. So using the moon's mirrored image for terrestrial mapping, it introduces an interpretative framework where the lunar surface features, such as the craters and the darker regions, are mapped to corresponding terrestrial oceanic depths and land masses. And this interpretation draws upon the idea of the moon taking selfies of the Earth, reflecting and interacting with the Earth's atmosphere at any given time. This diagram offers insight into the moon map where lunar surface features are used to map Earth's geography, taking into account a celestial and astrological framework in relation to atmospheric optics and the perception of color.
So all this time, the moon is a reflection of the Earth. Oh, we got your ass. We got your ass now. So let me see if I got this straight. The dark patches on the moon are the same shape as the landmass of Earth. And if you put them both together and put them on a true map, which is flat, upside down, and showing two extra continents, it's a perfect match of Earth. What in tarnations is going on? How could this possibly be? So the dome is causing a reflection in the sky. So this is the true shape of Earth. And if you want, you can pause it, spin it around, have a look. That's the way it's meant to look. And that's what it looks like when you put it against the moon and put them both together. It's a mad thing. That's the moon and that's the flat Earth map. Oh, you son of a bitch.
And just to be clear, we don't actually know exactly when Sturgis started or completed this moon mapping process. We don't know when it was publicly released. We just don't know, as there's no official record or publication date for the releasal of these moon maps. The only thing that we know for sure is that it was his work. It was created by Sturgis. I believe his name was J. Sturgis. And that it was heavily shared and circulated among Flat Earth and Greater Earth communities. Now, if you look closely at his overlays, it actually kind of makes sense in a weird way. And from my perspective, the lunar craters do appear to line up with our continents. And the dark lunar mare regions line up with our oceans. The whole thing is distorted just enough that it looks natural, if, of course, you accept the idea that the moon's surface is reflecting Earth. And this is basically how Sturgis set the stage for this entire theory. But homie didn't stop there. Sturgis went much, much deeper. He didn't just overlay the continents. He mapped out Earth's 5 major parallels too. He added the equator, both tropics, Capricorn and Cancer, and then laid a full latitude and longitude grid across the lunar surface. Basically, in layman's terms, he tried to show how Earth's entire coordination system could easily be transferred onto the moon. He even divided the moon into 24 equal wedges to represent the time zones here on Earth, claiming it lined up with day and night cycles. And on top of all of that, Sturgis tried to explain the sun's path and seasonal shifts, like solstices and equinoxes. He explained all of this based on the light and shadow patterns that we see on the moon's surface. In his mind, the moon wasn't just a perfect visual match for Earth, it was a functional one.
It's no coincidence that the ancient civilizations made these astronomical clocks for a geocentric Earth. They look familiar, don't they? Let's look at some more details of the moon map. And not forgetting time zones. It cannot be all this time hiding in plain sight. A distorted, unreliable, yet steadfast reflection. A quasi-photographic image of both our known Earth and what the hell is this? This is the known lands hidden from us. Thank you, Sturgis, for all your work. Sturgis mapped out each continent to the smallest detail. His work is meticulous. He has mapped time zones, seasons, flight paths, and distances. The first true flat Earth map. It is of utmost importance, primarily due to the known landmass over here, that Sturgis has named Terra Vista after the Urbano Mundi map of the same name. Why have we never heard of this land before? If the area here is our known Earth, then the Earth is absolutely enormous. But wait a minute. Sturgis' presentation here of our known Earth maps the 5 prominent circles of latitude. You see the Arctic Circle, the tropics, the equator, and an Antarctic Circle. And Sturgis has mapped the sun's concentric journey around these circles of latitude, mapping seasons and time zones with the utmost precision and accuracy. So what's going on? The sun and moon cannot journey the entirety of the land masses presented here because it would take too long. Does this landmass not have its own sun?
This approach blends aspects of celestial mechanics, cartography, geography, and metaphysical interpretations of the moon's relationship to the Earth's navigational systems. So the moon is used as a navigational tool, with an emphasis on aligning its X and Y axes to serve as a live compass, because the magnetic north is not located in the actual center of the geocentric plane. And that's because the moon aligns with the constellation's circular system rather than a central fixed point. The sun and the moon and all celestial phenomena revolve around our pole star Polaris, which is the magnetic north right now, and the magnetic north revolves around the true north over 24,000 years. So we have the various phases of the moon with different background sky colors, ranging from light blue to deep blue and even darker tones and shades of black. The moon appears to take on the color of the sky behind it, reinforcing the idea that the perceived lunar colors are dynamically influenced by the Earth's atmospheric conditions. And this interpretation relies heavily on the notion that the moon is not reflecting the sun's light in a simple neutral fashion, but is actually actively engaging within the atmospheric conditions of the Earth. The idea that the moon changes its color based on the surrounding sky suggests a more complex interaction between lunar surface materials and atmospheric optics. So the darker areas, referred to as the land masses, are considered representations of great oceanic depths. Lunar land masses do not exhibit fluorescence, and therefore they are represented transparently. These regions are described as consistently adopting the background color of the sky. The land surfaces are delineated in darker shades, aligning with the continents like Eurasia and Australia. And this suggests that the land masses on the moon are perceived as transparent, allowing the colors of the Earth's atmosphere, such as blue during the day and darker hues at night, to filter through. While on the other hand, water surfaces are visually represented in the lighter shades, suggesting that the lighter shaded areas correlate with Earth's major bodies of water, such as the Atlantic, Pacific, and the Indian Oceans. Water masses on the moon contribute to a phenomenon described as fluorescence. And this fluorescence is portrayed through the bright white regions of the moon's surface. It implies that these water-like surfaces possess reflective or emissive properties that respond to solar radiation and other celestial influences.
So now we're getting into the bigger questions. Like, for instance, why do people believe this? Well, the arguments for the theory are mostly visual, I'll be honest. However, the visuals are enough to get your brain asking questions, that's for damn sure. If you overlay the map carefully, you very quickly notice some coastlines seem to almost perfectly align with what we attribute to being lunar craters, and the dark spots line up with our oceans. It's kinda mind-blowing. Flat earthers and greater Earth proponents love it because it quote-unquote proves that hidden land exists. And, well, of course, it challenges mainstream science, obviously. Like, they love that. They also argue that NASA is hiding parts of the one true, real map of Earth. So, according to them, what Sturgis did is giving us a peek at the hidden truth. Of course, there are also arguments against the theory as well. Mainstream science points out the obvious, that heavy distortions, like the ones that we know for a fact that Sturgis applied to these moon maps, can create false matches. Obviously. There's no verifiable methodology, and like the scaling, rotating, and overlaying are inconsistent. Science also points out that modern lunar topography, including LRO altimetry, shows that the moon doesn't match Earth at all. In layman's terms, mainstream science says a lot of these quote-unquote matches that we visually witness in these videos or on these maps are nothing more than coincidences created by selective warping. In their opinion, this doesn't prove anything other than the fact that Sturgis was dedicated to warping the map of Earth until it fit what is on the moon's surface. They say it's just coincidence due to his, editing of the map, if you will. Earlier in this video, we briefly touched on the greater Earth theory, which, for those of you who don't know, basically suggests that there's more land beyond the quote-unquote ice wall that's never been seen by modern civilization. Essentially, this theory claims there's land that's been hidden from us, and the continents that we have access to have been so thoroughly poisoned via the soil, air, food, water, and medical advancements that at this point, it's essentially nothing more than a trap, or like a prison planet, if you will. With Antarctica being the ice wall that is like keeping all of their continents of control locked inside this quote-unquote matrix. Which is why the greater Earth theory typically goes hand in hand with any like flat Earth theories. But get this, Sturgis's moon map has a direct correlation to the greater Earth and like hidden continent theories.
Why would they hide the other places outside the ice wall? Like, what's the reason to keep it secret? Imagine if people knew that there are other countries out there that are not, enslaved to the workforce. They have amazing technology. They live in peace and all that. Imagine if we knew that. And that the 7 continents, well, 6, Antarctica's an ice wall. Imagine if we all knew that there was other people. Imagine if we knew the Earth was created and it's flat, just as described in the Bible. It would cause a worldwide or planal-wide revolt. They would lose control over everything. People would take their ships and their airplanes and they would fly over the wall and see what's going on. They would lose control of everything. And they don't want that. All right? So this is more of a close-up of the Terra Infinita map. And so you see right here, this is the known lands. There's South America, North America, and all the other stuff. And the sun is in the firmament. It's a ball that goes around in a circle. Okay. This is the ice wall. And beyond the ice wall, more land. The ancient lands, Ancestral Republic. And it goes even further than this. So this is kind of like, well, this is speculation, but it could be true. Yes, I do believe that the Earth is much bigger than they're telling us. Because you remember back in, I think, 2023, they said Japan found some new islands because they miscounted the first time. Okay. Like, we don't know how big the Earth is because we can't go beyond Antarctica. It could be this big. This is a Terra Infinitiva. And we don't know how many miles it is to the end of the firmament. That was another one of your questions. I don't know. Maybe somebody can figure it out. But if we can't go way beyond Antarctica and all this exists, how can we know how big the Earth is? Like this, they won't let us find out, Annie. They won't let us find out. And look, all these planets, you asked about planets. I believe the other planets or the extraterrestrials, the ETs, Terra means land, terrestrial, a land-walking creature. So I think that this could be what it is. Now, this is all speculation. This comes from a book. I'll show you the book in a second. But it could be. These could be the other planets where the other people live. It's crazy. Let me show you. So I bought this book a couple years ago, The Navigator Who Crossed the Ice Walls. I bought it after I realized the Earth was flat and that we were being lied to by all the scientists and that the Bible was true and everything God said about, the Earth was true. the firmament, all that. This book is very cool, very interesting. It is fictional, but it documents, or it talks about this crew, this captain and this other dude named William, ironically, that they go beyond the ice wall. And they meet all the different people. They meet really friendly giants. They interact with the enemy, the other controllers, and there it is, William Morris. It's very interesting. Yeah, so I recommend this book. Like I said, it's fictional, and I believe it's set in like the 1800s or so. And Nos Confunden, that's the name of the YouTube channel. So the author is Claudio Nocelli. All right. So it's very interesting. It could be true. I mean, Admiral Richard Byrd did say they found, a crystal city in Antarctica, and they found land, more lush land over there in Antarctica. It could have been Antarctica, or it could have been beyond it. It's not really clear, but there's certainly stuff happening down there in Antarctica that they don't want us to know about. And this book kind of speculates, and it goes into detail about who's down there. So
on Sturgis's map, some craters and mare regions allegedly correspond to these hidden continents beyond Antarctica. And this is another huge reason why this theory in particular gets so much traction among flat Earth believers, because it visually reinforces the idea that so many people believe to be true, that there's extra land beyond the ice wall that we are not supposed to see, or even know that exists, for that matter. You can overlay Sturgis's moon map with the quote-unquote hidden continents maps, and believers of this theory will begin pointing out features that allegedly confirm the greater Earth hypothesis. Then there's the aspect of the debunkers versus believers comparison. Believers focus on the visual matches, the logic behind the map distortion, and how it all perfectly fits into flat Earth cosmology. Debunkers, on the other hand, focus instead on the methodology, pointing out the arbitrary warping and lack of scale, and how modern lunar science completely disproves it. Both sides are set in their beliefs, and often argue past each other. But you can see why the theory persists. The visuals are damn compelling, even if some people or scientists consider the logic to be shaky.
The moon's a mirrored image of Earth. Just think for a minute, how did our ancient ancestors navigate around the seas and lands without maps? They looked up to the sky and figured it out. But for now, let's stick to the basics. The 19th century Masonic astronomer named Pierre Gassendi called it Umbilicus Lunaris, the navel of the moon. Which is interesting, as Norse mythology uses the same symbol of the navel to describe Vermalmire, the whirlpool at the center of our realm. You are witnessing multiple images simultaneously when looking at the face of the moon. If you separate the two images, then you can see clearly how they are in fact two images of two different angles that somehow ended up superimposed on each other. We do not see any oceans or water mass captured in the first image, which suggests there is some kind of X-ray radiation at play. We don't see the vortex at the center in the first image for this reason, and again, no one knows how these images were formed, but if some kind of radiation beams were responsible, then the first image, the land masses of our greater Earth, were most likely captured as the rays hit the firmament. And as those rays were reflected into our ionosphere and began forming the plasma mass we call the moon, it is likely that the second image was captured, and that is the image of the firmament. of the structure existing above us, and that's why we can see the outline of this structure, the stars beyond this structure, and the reflection of the vortex and deeps below. The moon is a masterpiece of distorted perspective, a plasma embodiment of, as above, so below. And it's going to take a lot of work and careful consideration in smoothing out this distortion to try and get somewhere close enough to create a proper map of the Earth we live on. And because the moon is a disk-like, massive plasma, the first image of the land presents some curvilinear distortion. And you can see it here at the edges, as the land begins to warp and wrap slightly. A lot of serious work needs to go into a flat projection of this distortion, but it shouldn't be too difficult, because the distortion is only slight around these edges. And that's why Sturgis can map the circles of latitude, seasons and time zones very accurately. A map without the distortion may look something like this, but important questions remain if the central vortex is absent from the land image on the moon. Then why has Sturgis plotted the land we assume is Hyperborea over here? Which is not in the center, and what about all this other land? The sun and moon cannot journey above all of this land, as it would take more than 24 hours to circle all of this. And we know the paths of the sun and moon. And the big question, the one you've been desperate to ask about since uncovering the only map we have. Where is the ice wall that you flirters always bang on about? Let's start with Hyperborea, and here where many flat earthers may experience cognitive dissonance. Although Sturgis has plotted Hyperborea here, there is no truth that this is the true Hyperborea. There are a lot of different land masses in this region, and we cannot be sure. It pains me to say that Hyperborea may not exist in the way we have come to believe. Mercator's Hyperborea is likely the work of the Masons to throw us off the real path, and this is what our purpose is all about, isn't it? Digging for the truth is difficult business. It is very interesting that the Urbano Monte map was added to the Stanford University map collection and made available to the public in 2017. The same year, the flat Earth was gaining huge traction, and people were starting to wake up. It's also interesting that it's been arranged as a planisphere. The huge individual sheets of this map were originally arranged as an atlas projection. But David Ramsey purchased the map in 2016, and the team got to work in scanning each sheet individually and processing them digitally to wrap around a sphere. Perhaps the release of Monte's marvelous map was an attempt to keep flat earthers thinking Hyperborea was located at the North Pole. And to perhaps bring back any that were sitting on the fence and hadn't truly woken up yet. A very subtle act of manipulation. But why would they want the flat earth community to keep fixed on Hyperborea? I have some thoughts regarding Hyperborea, but first we must turn to the clock. Those of the old world, they knew exactly the type of Earth they lived on, and it's displayed for everyone to see right here in the astronomical clocks. The zodiac dial here, or what is officially known as the Ecliptic dial on the Prague astronomical clock, allegedly constructed in the 15th century, does not divide the 30-degree constellation arcs equally. It is also off-center from the map behind, and appears distorted. And so many clocks of the old world present very similar ecliptic dials, but let's look a little bit closer at this magnificent Prague clock. As you can see, the zodiac dial contains a border that presents a series of vertical lines. These lines represent a chunk of 5 days, and each zodiac section represents a month. Those of the old world used this dial to track the seasons, the phases of the moon, and to present the date. But in a realm of perfect circles, why are 6 of the 30-degree arcs here represented within a smaller space than the other 6? They all contain 5 subsections, so why are they different? As you can see here, the Prague astronomical clock presents a land of Earth in the middle. Why does the ecliptic dial need to be bigger and off-center? When you align the ecliptic dial with the map of our great realm, then this all starts to make sense. The zodiac constellations appear distorted, despite all having 5 equal sun sections, because our location is limited within a portion of the greater realm. And this governs our observational perspective of the stars. This dial has nothing to do with an axial tilt. It is designed this way to reflect our known world within this magnetic field pocket. The realm is much larger, and therefore the firmament and circumference of the fixed stars in the water beyond is much larger than the circumference of our own magnetic field. Polaris is here, above the center, and this is so important. They tell us that our magnetic North Pole is separate from what they call true geographic north. Our magnetic North Pole is moving. How can that be? Is that just another one of their lies?
North magnetic pole circumvents a central magnetic circle. The toroidal magnetic field moves with it. The sun and moon are bound in their revolution by our magnetic North Pole. And because of this, they move within our magnetic toroidal field only. This is why the magnetic North Pole will always be the center of our known world. As I said before, the first image of the landmass presented in the moon's face is likely akin to an X-ray image and has not captured any water mass. And because of this, it has only recorded the areas of our realm with high density, such as the land, in the same way an X-ray image will capture the parts of our bodies with the highest density, like the bone, but not the blood in our veins. In a sense, it is appropriate to view the landmass captured here as skeletal, and because of this, it has not captured the water or ocean surrounding our land, nor does it display a differentiation between the frozen landmass and that which is not frozen. If the sun's concentric journey above us is bound by the north magnetic pole here, and its magnetic toroidal field, and this entire magnetic field is moving with the pole, then it is likely we have a situation of a changing climate as this process unfolds. All areas outside of our magnetic field will inevitably be frozen and dark due to the lack of sunlight. And this is consistent with what some of the scriptures have told us. I saw the great rivers, and I came to the great river, and to the great darkness, and went to the place where no flesh walks. I saw the mountains of the darkness of winter. This is your ice wall, and it's not a constant, fixed wall. It is continually melting and refreezing with the revolution of the pole over the course of a great year and each astronomical age. Do you now understand why they are terrified of the ice melting, of our Earth supposedly heating up, and why this demonic joke of a man wants to dim the sun? They are using natural climate change due to the rotation of the magnetic pole to justify a whole host of useless measures and money laundering. They are terrified because they are on the verge of losing all control of the narrative. We must save the precious Antarctica from melting, the last unspoiled place on Earth. But as you can see, there is no landmass for us to call Antarctica. It is a complete lie. When they refer to Antarctica, there is only the Antarctic Circle, and a lot of the footage at the so-called Antarctica could have been taken at any location around this circle. As you can also see, the landmasses of South America, New Zealand, and Australia all fall within close proximity to the outer edge of the greater world map, and would therefore be within close proximity to the foundations of the firmament itself. This is most likely the reason there is heavy military presence in these regions. The changing climate, the melting of the Antarctic Circle, is as natural as day and night. It is a macro process of the larger clock we live within. We have already discussed how the constellations that the sun is in during the equinox and solstice form a cross on the zodiac wheel when signaling the age and tropic designation. We'll look closer at the pearl clock again. The central dial of the clock is placed within the center of our magnetic field, and the sun and moon move within this field. Our magnetic field is off center from the overall greater realm. It isn't an even cross, but a true cross, or what is now referred to as a Latin cross or crucifix. We live within the crossbeam of the cross. And in case you hadn't noticed, our magnetic field pocket within the greater realm also forms a crescent moon. Not the type of crescent moon associated with the alchemical mercury and silver, but this kind of crescent moon. The same symbol that the controllers appropriated and redesignated to represent nobility. The cross and crescent are natural expressions inherent in the workings of the timepiece we live within. They are natural expressions of God's clock. And we got it wrong. Polaris is not situated 90 degrees above our north magnetic pole, in the region we call the Arctic, home to Greenland and Iceland. Polaris rests above the vortex at the center of the greater realm. And this is where the distinction between geographic cardinal directions and magnetic directions needs to be emphasized. When we travel across our known world, or the land within our toroidal magnetic field, we use a magnetic compass, and the magnetic pole is in the center. That's why when we travel from west to east, we go in a circle, and when we travel north, we go towards the center, and when traveling south, we move directly away from the center. However, there also exist geographic cardinal points. And what do the scriptures have to say about this? It's right there in Enoch's reference to the four quarters of the world. Our magnetic field, according to Enoch, lies in the geographic north of the greater realm. And the first quarter is called the east, because it is the first. And the second, the south, because the Most High will descend there. And the west quarter is named the diminished. And the fourth quarter, named the north, is divided into three parts. First of them is for the dwelling of men. The second contains seas of water, the abysses and forests and rivers, and darkness and clouds. And the third part, the garden of righteousness. The vortex is in the center of the realm, or what is more appropriately termed true north. The X-ray image of the land on the moon map does not display this vortex, but, as discussed, it is present in the second image of the firmament. At the crown of the firmament, we see it reflected, the navel of the world. It could be that the garden of righteousness that Enoch refers to, and what is also known as Hyperborea, is located right where Sturgis has plotted it. But this land is not the true north, or central vortex. That can only exist in the center. And as stated before, there is some curvilinear distortion present in the composite image on the moon's face. I have used my little colorful map here strictly for illustrative purposes. I am not a map maker, but I did attempt to smooth some of this distortion out. Let's hope Sturgis tackles the distortion. And in both my quick attempt and the actual moon map, we do see a body of land right in the center, right here. Perhaps this is the garden of righteousness.
There's this theory that the moon represents our Earth, and only one quarter is our known Earth, and it moves around, like the clock in Prague. As you can see, there's a constellation wheel. The sun and moon are both connected in the center of this. And honestly, what if this constellation wheel moves around in centuries of time around the entirety of Earth? I call this the four-quarter theory, like the four quarters in ancient cosmology and mythology. The four quarters of Earth that Enoch talks about. The four quarters in several Bibles, scriptures, and quarters definition is a fourth of something or a place in which you can dwell, which it's weird that this is literally 1/4 of this, and it's the quarters in which we dwell. So is this moon projection that kind of looks like the land from Earth enough evidence for us to believe in something like this? Probably not, because really it doesn't match up perfectly, but I've got some evidence. In order for this theory to even be somewhat plausible, we need three things to be happening for sure. Number one, the magnetic north would have to be moving. And guess what? It is. In the direction that it would need to be moving for this theory to be true. But wait, if the magnetic north and the magnetic field is moving northwest, north compared to what? That is the north. Wait, what if there's another north right here in the center? You know, the Mercator map has four quarters, four rivers, and an ultimate center. Doesn't that kind of look like it? But either way, we have two more major things for this to be even plausible, and that is the ice in Antarctica, West Antarctica to be exact, should be melting, and the ice in East Antarctica should be freezing. And it is. This is all melting, and this is all freezing, and has a higher elevation. Why? Well, because it's constantly freezing more. And the lower elevation is because it's melting more. Now, also, direct sunlight in Africa should be increasing. The Sahara Desert should be growing. South, to be exact. Isn't that something? Huh. Yeah, you should maybe do some math too here, because it's weird at the rate that it's moving. Okay, fine, but South America should be increasingly freezing more. And it is. Yeah, that's right, it is. Here's what's cool too. This explains silly climate change and ice ages too. Not to mention finding strange animals and structures in the ice that's melting in Antarctica. Oh, the climate crisis, it's you and my's fault. What if they're just using this crisis to get some money, but then also to say you're the problem? You know, you're the one who's causing these emissions. No, come on. Hey, And also, we are not having an energy crisis either. Think about the old world ships. This place was like an entire city that floated around, charged on these Tesla coils. Look, we can harness the ether energy, and I think they're doing that, throwing a price tag on it. But that's the thing. This theory, it brings all of the conspiracies kind of together. Makes it obvious of what they've been hiding. They throw stuff like this out there, and this, with zero evidence as to how this could even be. When all the while a model like this explains everything. Just think about it. So when they said flat Earth was a psyop, maybe it kind of is. Maybe they're only giving us 1/4 of what we really need to be looking into. By the way, I don't use this moon projection as all of my evidence. No, I look at all of the other things that line this thing up for a home run.
So, just to quickly recap everything that we've covered so far, the moon, or at least its surface image, might be a distorted reflection of Earth. Sturgis created his quote-unquote moon maps with heavy distortion, warping, and overlaying. We know this. Sturgis did this distorting and warping because he believed the moon acts as a curved mirror of Earth, at least in a sense, meaning the reflection would naturally appear like stretched, flipped, and compressed. So in his view, the distortion wasn't a flaw. It was absolutely necessary in order to accurately represent any quote-unquote proof. We don't know exactly when he created this quote-unquote moon map, only that it exists and that it is heavily circulated among flat Earth communities. Sturgis mapped the equator, tropics, longitude, latitude, time zones, the sun's path, and even the seasons. Obviously, like with any good conspiracy theory, you have arguments for and against the theory. But with debunkers and believers interpreting the same evidence differently, it's no wonder why the debate continues. Finally, here's the question I will leave you all with. If the moon really is reflecting Earth, even in like a warped or distorted way, what else could we be missing? What else has long been hidden from us? So at the end of the day, maybe Sturgis was onto something. Or maybe he was just really committed to connecting dots that just weren't there. You don't have to believe that the moon is a mirror in order to admit the visuals are wild. And like side note, just so you guys know, some theorists will tell you that Sturgis died mysteriously shortly after publicly releasing his moon map. But that's actually a mix-up. They're confusing moon map Sturgis, if you will, like I said, I believe his name is J. Sturgis, with another gentleman who was alive at that same time period with the same last name. When in reality, there's no official record of what actually happened to the real Sturgis behind the creation of these moon maps. And chances are, we'll probably never get a real honest explanation of when or how moon map Sturgis passed away. So your guess is as good as mine. Now, whether he cracked a hidden code or just created one hell of an illusion, the idea sticks with you. From now on, every time you look up at the moon, you're going to wonder what secrets it's holding and whether or not its surface is trying to tell us something. But if you're anything like me, then one thing's for certain. You'll never be able to look at the moon the same way again. And maybe that's the whole frickin' point. I don't know. I really don't know anymore. Who's to say for sure? I'm not here to tell you whether it's like 100% a real, true theory. I'm just here to present you with what's out there, and the rest is 100% up to you. So now you've seen how deep this theory actually goes. What do you think? Is the moon just a dead floating rock? Or is it trying to show us something that we weren't supposed to notice? As always, I'll leave the decision with you. Now, we've officially made it to the end of this video. Thank you guys so much for your time. Seriously, it means more to me than you will ever frickin' know. Do me a favor, if you made it this far, drop a comment saying shiggles down in the comments, just so I know that you made it to the end of the video, and that you're one of the real ones, of course. I love you all so much. Seriously, thank you from the bottom of my heart that you keep coming back each week to, enjoy these videos that I put together for you guys. It seriously means more to me than I could ever even put to words and begin to tell you. So, thank you. Seriously, just you guys showing up is more than enough. You have no idea. But if you want to go beyond, you can hit that like button and subscribe always if you're not subscribed, but you can always like. It helps push this video to more and more people. But I don't think I need to ramble about anything else, so I'm gonna hop on out of here. I love you all so much, and until next time, Take care of each other. My name's Katie. This is Dark Side of the Truth, and it's been my pleasure. Until next time, I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.